Mother Earth is getting warmer and something needs to be done.
I think what's changed now and created a bigger mess is the demand for energy that's required from current generation.
According to the Paris Agreement, we need to keep global warming at no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. Can Malaysia achieve this target?
Every time you hit an enter key or you play with your TikTok or you do something, you are triggering some power requirements.
And where does Sarawak stand in the picture? Stay with me on Decimal Point for answers. Malaysia, especially Sarawak, is dedicated to advancing its low-carbon development to reshape its economic landscape towards sustainability. The Responsible Transition Pathway 2050, in short the RT pathway, has been devised to shift the country's energy systems from fossil fuel dependency to low-carbon, greener alternatives. The target is to reduce fossil fuel dependency from 96% in 2023 to 77% by 2050.
I believe this can be reduced further. Before I came here, the CEO was telling me they have achieved to reduce again to 25 kilowatt hour.
Are there green horizons for low-carbon solutions? Dato, the current trends are showing a global warming trajectory, quite alarming actually, at 2.2 degrees Celsius, Dato. What is the reason for this alarming increase?
People are very well aware of global deforestation, the growth of industry needing fuel, the traditional vehicles, and all those who have been providing for carbon emission for the longest of times, right? But I think what's changed now and created a bigger mess is the demand for energy that's required from current generation, and a worry trend as well, right? Because you've got kids today are growing up in the tech world, and as a result, you have tremendous demand now for digital requirements, right? Which every time you hit an enter key or you play with your TikTok or you do something, you are triggering some power requirements. So that demand is growing at a phenomenal rate. That is probably contributing, besides what is, I think, an industry trend of acknowledging the problem, but not really doing something about it. So the industries are still judged largely by their bottom line, right? Their accounting bottom line, which is your profits that you generate towards your shareholders. That's how industry is. And industry is what creates everything and everything else that we do, right? So there is an ask, but do you need regulators stepping in? I think it's a must. And how sincere is industry in this is a story in itself.
Mm-hmm. Dato, what do you think Malaysia can do to balance the need for energy demand with this current urgency for decarbonization?
What they can start with, I think, is first ensuring there are a set of regulations in place, right? To ensure that industry complies, to just come out there and do what everybody else is doing and keep up with, if you like, the trend, a global trend, right? So that's the first ask, right? But the other things is educating younger people, right, on the importance, the kids, teaching it in school, having a culture where the idea of green and why it's important. But I think even beyond the idea of green, as you know, ESG addresses the environment, which is the green part of it, then the S, the social part of it, and finally the governance, which is being honest, straightforward, clean, right? There is the social part of it, which is essentially talking about how you look out for the common man. And I think that's important. In this journey of green, I think you've got to figure this out, right? When we addressed sustainability in the past, we used to talk about the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. Profit in relation to economics, and today the word is governance, the best practices. So Malaysia can be and can do, and that narrative is a great start point. Teaching kids, as I said just now, from early on, the importance of all aspects of this, including green, right?
Education, climate change.
And really appreciating it, right? Doing it at school levels and, of course, even in employees, within the employee circle.
Of course, the education starts from school and from the bottom level as well, but then there has got to be the support coming from the governance level in terms of policies. It has to be together in order for all of it to work.
Actually, you're spot on. The easy, quick, low-hanging fruit, let's start with governance. I think if this message goes out there and everybody in the world talks about Malaysia as a hub where it's clean, our laws are proper, our people are, giving, the level of communication is strong. I think Malaysia can do a great story in helping with this global ESG, rather than aping and following, because the cultures are different. So whatever we see in our offices outside of Malaysia, it's very different. Cultures in Hong Kong, different. Our Dutch office is different. The levels of understanding, it's all different. So I believe we are in a good position to build something out of this part of the world, but for real. Aping the other person or aping another nation or another geography or another demand, which is largely Western-led, should change. And I think this is the time.
Dato, what are the potential global implications if countries like Malaysia succeed in their energy transition and sustainability goals?
Tremendous. Great opportunity, right? If countries like Malaysia can get this right, we are at the cusp of change globally, right? The demand for balancing power, energy, which is huge, against the backdrop of being a first runner that is able to provide something of a fine balance with all those regulatory requirements in place, being real about the matter, and of course, ultimately it's about the power and how clean is the power that's going to be supplied, right? So I think if Malaysia transitions, which I think they aim to do, we are in an extremely good place.
Could you possibly, Dato, give us some examples in terms of the efforts that we've put in and in what direction are we going currently?
From an effort point of view, I think the intent from government agencies is real, and there's a very positive idea to get this right. But I think what the government agencies need to do is to learn from the past, right? The idea is, let's not ape what works in another place for the sake of aping what's a global ask. Let's figure what's good for Malaysia, how we will pitch this, because you've got core issues that need to be addressed in terms of managing power. And again, it's a bit of a balance. And if you ask me, we've done a few things right. Again, governance is something that's still not there, and I think we need to get that right quickly. The learning, the intent at all levels, and of course learning what we did wrong in the past, where we just don't become a producer or provider and wrapping things up without real intent.
I have requested SCB, Dato Sabini, to explore the development of Terusan hydroelectric, and Petronas is the agency they have met me. They want to take equity in Terusan hydroelectric.
With Sarawak's hydropower capacity expected to reach nearly 4,700 megawatts by 2028, how is this going to impact Malaysia's energy mix and carbon reduction goals?
Very positively to start, right? Because clearly the buzz is, let's get clean energy out, right? And I think with Sarawak providing 4,000, I believe close to 4,800 megawatts of clean energy, largely hydro, and they've also got the other clean energies that they're working on. It's a tremendous power supply mix, which will be complementing Peninsular Malaysia's efforts, this one's amazing. This puts everything in perspective. So the data center you're in was already a green data center way back in 2008, 2009. So we were one of the first in Asia to tout a green data center, right? We're building the next set of data centers, one not too far from here, which is green. If you look at the top, it's got solar panels and the whole 9 yards that make a data center green. We are in partnership with hyperscale data center players. We've got a very strong partnership going on with Temasek-led STT GDC, one of the largest global players today, but they are focused on the hyperscalers. We continue to take premium green. They too have a green ethos and philosophy, but largely towards hyperscalers. Our niche has been built around premium data centers, again, heavily focused on ensuring they're green, even eco-friendly. This particular data center is eco-friendly as well. But more importantly, the message, how will this work for Sarawak? The messaging is, the timing is right, it's renewable energy, it's green. They are looking at themselves as a hub. You know, a lot of excitement is happening in the data center world. It's exciting everyone. A lot of effort going into Johor in Peninsular Malaysia, but how green is that? And there is an attempt to make it green in Peninsular Malaysia, supporting the growth of data centers here. Sarawak wants to do the same. It's got a hub interest. So we will take that as a super positive, right? Because it's got renewable energy. I think the world will look at, if someone like Sarawak gets it right, I think they are very well positioned, both geographically, and they get their renewable energy, and it's largely hydro, and the ability to supply to DC-hungry, power-hungry data center players. It's amazing. More importantly, it has to be real. The intent has to be noble, which it seems to be, and it seems to be falling into place. You can learn of things we've done in the past that have not worked. We've got to redo all of this, right? And be cognizant of all these the factors that can go wrong. And what we've learned, you don't want everyone coming in and just exploiting infrastructure. Data centers are sovereign because you host data for key customers or anybody, and you don't want all of that in the hands of foreigners. And I believe there'll be more like us interested to park ourselves in Sarawak, right? These investments are into the hundreds of millions, into the billions. And this is what we could bring to the front, looking at how Sarawak pans out. Because we're big with green, and we mean it.
This accomplishment firmly establishes Sarawak as a global frontrunner in the effort of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Exploit that DDI capabilities which we have and help Sarawak get to where they want to go with local capabilities because they're more sustainable.
How does that position Sarawak as a leader in Malaysia in energy transition?
Put Sarawak in a very good, strong leadership position because it's got the hub and it's got the hydroelectricity and it's got renewable energy thoughts across, whether it's solar and other forms. It's going to be in a very good position to be a lead state if it gets this right? They should be in a very good position to be a lead state for infrastructure, data centers, anything that requires power and green, right? So great, could be an example for the region as well. Not necessarily just a lead state within Malaysia. I think Malaysia can be a lead example for the region, but Sarawak could be one up if they play their cards right.
What role do innovation and high technology sectors play in Sarawak's vision to lead the region in low carbon development?
I think there's several sectors. The technology sector, the IT sector, which I'm in, and we're based in both sectors, the IT infra piece, which is what goes into the data center, and the data center space are fairly high-end. There's tremendous opportunities from that sector because tech is the in-word. As you know, the buzz is now, everything's around AI. The future looks like anything you're involved in involves technology and all of that. So I think the sectors that Sarawak or the likes may want to attract should be evolving around this. But they need to figure there is a difference because rather than following the herd, you need to figure, like you just take the data center world, right? Mm-hmm. You've got the 3-star, 4-star type of hotels, commoditized, etc., that goes for the mass. Yeah. And then there's this exclusive, high-end, premium data center types, which we're in. Mm-hmm. What is going to be Sarawak's, for example, differentiator. Clearly, we know English is being touted, and they seem to be doing a very good job at that. So they're going to be able to attract FDIs for sure, to come in, because if their level of English improves, the skill set, that's just one, that's the soft skills, right? But you got the tech skills, so that's got to catch up, but you've got to tie it to what the industry wants, right? So DDIs, to me, of course, being Malaysian, we are DDIs, and our intent is to exploit that DDI capabilities which we have and help Sarawak get to where they want to go with local capabilities, because they're more sustainable. Now, of course, it's natural for governments to look for FDIs because, look, but FDIs, it's a flight of money. And what is their intention? How sustainable is this? How far are we going to go with this? So when people bring in funds, they can quite easily leave. And this is legacy stuff that, places like Cyberjaya have found out. They have these large multinationals come in, employ, take up our smart resources, and those guys leave. And these guys, this talent pool, which could be fairly talented, but they're not really doing the smartest of jobs, idiot-proof jobs. So I think the sectors that they should be at, and you don't want to be the sweatshop for the region. Like, look, you can't compete with the size and population of Indonesia or India. So Sarawak is not huge in terms of the number of people, so they need to figure what sector they're after. So I think the tech world, of course, everyone wants in. The question is, how are you going to find your niche? What is your niche? What are your people going to be able to do? Speaking English socially, I think it's a given. That's a must-have. Then the specific talent that they're after. And renewable energy and green is a big word, but are you going to be deploying for FDIs or foreigners that have their design, smarts and all outside country, telling you to do stuff in country and largely do the low-end jobs versus the high-end, which has happened with most of Malaysia's FDIs for as long as I can remember. And to be honest, it frustrates me. The narrative now seems right from federal government, and Sarawak is also taking a cue on this. You want high-end capabilities. Smart people doing smart work. Malaysians need to be seen to be smart, not a low cost of labor.
What are the main challenges Sarawak faces in scaling up its infrastructure development?
You got to tell people why you're doing this. So public acceptance is always important. I think industry buy-in, partnership, and large, if I may, getting specialists, DDIs, or people who are in the know of this space or passionate about being green, and collaborations with external parties, internal parties, and setting up core policies early on, it's going to be the first set of challenges, right? The idea that something foreign is better must go away. If Sarawak wants to get this right, let's adopt to internal thinking, and that could be the challenge. You need to do it simultaneously, and you just got to make sure that your policies are in place to ensure you're not exploited by virtue of infrastructure, low cost of labor, and these large multinationals do not bring their most creative capabilities or design capabilities into the country, right? Largely that's kept outside. What you want to do is have the ability to create all that wonderful creative stuff from within Sarawak. This includes institutions, industry players, creating our center of excellences there.
It's approved investments valued at 329.5 billion ringgit for 2023, creating almost 130,000 jobs. Approved investments of around 84 billion ringgit in the first quarter this year, an increase of 13% year on year. Out of this, more than 56% was approved foreign investment. The total investment approved will create 29,000 new jobs for Malaysia.
How do the ongoing and planned projects in Sarawak affect local communities socially and economically?
Socially, I think it's going to be a nice boost if they carry all this out, because you definitely will upgrade the community economically as well by virtue of the job opportunities, and you stay true to the intent of getting high-end jobs while accommodating different levels of jobs, but skilled. That would be the intent. So it will definitely benefit local community. And I think the big take-home will be job opportunities, training of skilled labor of every level. Hopefully you keep it at the niche as well, because once you get the niche going, you can cascade all the way down. But it's hard to get someone who's skilled at a lower level to move up. So that's the other piece that's going to be taken into account. But all in all, this will be very nice for, and it's cutting edge stuff. It's current, whether it's your EV vehicles, which everyone talks about, to all the other stuff that's coming out from supporting digital infrastructure in a green fashion, or for that matter, even manufacturing or anything else that's involving green and ensuring that the carbon emission is at its lowest levels. The things like hydro for sure works, CCUS are good to have. All of this come together, and you're going to create a community, hopefully, that is intertwined, but largely local. So I think the intent should not be to rely on foreign talent to do the high-end work. And that's typically how Malaysia's been playing it in the past. You're moving a state that was largely not involved in high-end technology. You're building an ecosystem for that, and that ecosystem can only do good. If you ask me, work on local partnerships, because DDIs are sustainable, they stay, and they'll create an export capability of talent, which you also want to do, because you're not really looking at, with the data centers, your infra, or even with high-end tech infra, you can, for example, data centers, but any IT infra or any other infra, tech-related infra, can support the region from a location. So your ability to commercially exploit support services in export revenue is real. Base Bay has a lot of export revenue coming out of our data centers and our play in the region coming out of our Malaysian locations. So this is a very good opportunity to not only grow capabilities and look for funds that might come into country, but can you imagine the opportunity to exploit talent, capabilities, and even get forex or money coming in by virtue of exporting capabilities, not really providing the infrastructure alone for foreign entities to work with, but ensuring the ecosystem supports local startups, local capabilities to move to the next level. I think that's what the younger generation are after. Our Malaysians are very talented. We should not cut them short in this next couple of decades. So this is my hope for Sarawak, and for that matter, even Malaysia.
Looking forward, what are the primary recommendations for further enhancing Sarawak's capabilities in furthering these initiatives?
The most important piece is getting the ecosystem right for long-term sustainability. So you're not just feeding up to solve current demand or ask, but you have a foresight to look at what's going to happen next, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Where do you want to be, and what kind of an ecosystem are you after? So I talked about supporting the startups, making sure DDIs, local capabilities are definitely in the forefront. I think Sarawak has a theme of ensuring many businesses or opportunities for businesses are provided for Sarawakians. It's very good. I'm sure they have needs to have Malaysians come over, Malaysians from Peninsular Malaysia that is come over, and spread maybe Sabah, Sarawak come together. It's one big happy family that we need to build, and Sarawak can show the way. Because I think we've learned a lot from long-term FDI benefits, getting excited about funds coming in, and in the data center world now, it's actually, there's huge demand, but it's kind of not regulated. Few might know today, the president of Indonesia has requested an audit on data centers. It's a big thingy now because this is very fresh, but there is real issues if you do not regulate, have policies in place, rather than just get excited with FDIs because there's foreign money coming in. It's short-lived, short-term, our land is inexpensive given our currency. Do you want to attract talent that just throws money at you, and then it looks attractive for announcements? So the government gets excited, the state government gets excited, but is this sustainable? The advice would be, you're in the right place, you're in the right geography, you've got the right messaging, you've also got to balance environmental issues for real. Don't do it because make environmental issues a real theme. Hydro is obviously accepted, but you've got a few dams, you're going to create more dams, and what else are you going to do, and what are you going to displace? Is it being done in an ethical manner? You've got eco issues to worry about. It's got, everybody knows Sarawak has got lush landscape. You don't want to lose that either. So that's a small balance, but if you ask me, if you stick with the niche, get on with the premium, ensure the training and support structures are in place, they should be able to get it right.
Other states and the federal government can learn from Sarawak's regulatory frameworks, strategies and management to replicate and scale these initiatives nationwide. With these initiatives, we can see green horizons for Sarawak, being the leading provider in a world for low carbon solutions.